Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Donna and Brooke will quarrel over Nick Marone. No one will want to miss this fierce battle, according to spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Donna and Brooke will quarrel over Nick Marone. This is because it appears that Brooke and Donna will have an excuse to get their claws out for Nick Marone once more. Actor Jack Wagner is returning to resume his role on the popular CBS soap opera, as many fans of B&B are aware. Because of this, there is a lot of conjecture that Brooke Logan will eventually leave Ridge Forrester alone and pursue her ex. But it appears that she will face some competition because Donna will undoubtedly want to know how Nick is doing after all these years. Fans of The Bold and the Beautiful naturally expressed their opinions on social media. I have expressed my desire for Jack Wagner to return on Reddit on numerous occasions, others have even commented. My cries have been heard by the soap gods. Brooke needs a new romantic partner. The fact that Nick doesn't respect the dressmaker is merely a bonus. Another B&B fan commented, "I'll start watching again if Nick returns." Returning to Ridge was a grave mistake on Brooke's part. Nothing makes Ridge return to Brooke more quickly than his half-brother's competition. Additionally, there was the following comment, "That seems good." Because Brooke and Nick had chemistry and this guy portrays Ridge so poorly, why would the audience want Brooke with him at all? Regardless of whether Ridge is with Brooke or not, I can't bear him with Taylor. He would simply return to her, which has always been so stupid. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, what will happen to Nick next? Not surprisingly, B&B fans will only need to tune in every single day to see what happens next. Fans of The Bold and the Beautiful have been waiting for this moment. Nick Marone has returned to Los Angeles, and his arrival is already causing chaos in Ridge Forrester's life and rekindling old passions in Brooke Logan's life. The return of the popular character by Jack Wagner is more than simply a sentimental cameo, it's a major earthquake in the unfolding story of Brooke's romantic life, with everyone, especially Ridge and Taylor, feeling the repercussions. The timing couldn't be more precarious. Brooke has spent years caught up in Ridge's never-ending back and forth with Taylor, hoping that this time he will finally decide to make her his permanent partner. However, Nick's homecoming makes her face the unpleasant reality that perhaps Ridge has never been able to provide her with the safety and affection she needs. Their chemistry is evident as soon as Nick returns to Brooke's orbit. Nick has always stood for stability, respect, and a love that doesn't require Brooke to prove herself, in contrast to Ridge, whose love frequently comes with demands and restrictions. In sharp contrast to the emotional roller coaster Brooke has experienced with Ridge, their past is one of intense emotional connectedness. It's evident that their flame never really died when they rejoin, and Ridge finds it terrifying. Although he may have taken Brooke's allegiance for granted for years, he now goes into full-blown panic mode when he realizes that she could actually leave him permanently. His response is more than simply jealousy. It's a total breakdown, complete with heated arguments, violent outbursts, and frantic attempts to discredit Nick at every opportunity. The issue is that Ridge doesn't intimidate Nick. He hasn't been. Additionally, Brooke isn't reverting to her old habits so easily this time. Ridge's anger stems from losing control, not only from losing Brooke. He has been operating for years with the belief that Brooke will always be waiting for him, regardless of how often he switches between Taylor and Brooke. That illusion is destroyed by Nick's return. Brooke has a genuine option all of a sudden, a man who loves her without making her plead for his attention. This time, Ridge's typical strategies, guilt-tripping Brooke, casting doubt on her allegiance, or even going back to Taylor for a rebound, won't work. For the first time in a long time, Brooke appears to be seeing Ridge's actions for what they really are, greed masquerading as passion. Nick refuses to back down and refuses to allow Ridge to control the situation. However, what does this mean for Taylor? She has been Ridge's long-term, intermittent romantic interest, so she is accustomed to being his fallback option when things with Brooke become too complicated. However, it feels different this time. Taylor is unable to ignore the agonizing fact that she might always be Ridge's second option because of his desperate attempts to keep Brooke away from Nick. The cruel irony is that after years of waiting for Ridge to totally commit to her, Taylor watches him go crazy the moment another man shows up in Brooke's life. Will this be the last straw for her? Or will she let herself be drawn back into Ridge's circle and then pushed out once more when his pride is at stake? Nick's homecoming couldn't have come at a more explosive time. Ridge's recent indecision has put Brooke through a lot emotionally, and Taylor's presence has only made things more tense. Now that Nick is back in the picture, Brooke must make a decision she has never really given much thought to. What if happiness doesn't have to be accompanied by turmoil all the time? What if there is no need for pain in love? She is forced to reconsider everything she has come to accept in her relationship with Ridge by Nick's constant presence. Ridge is also compelled to examine his own destructive tendencies, if he is even capable of doing so, given the prospect of permanently losing Brooke. The rest of Los Angeles is observing the fireworks in the meantime. Being familiar with their father's rage, Steffi and Thomas find themselves torn between their difficult pasts with Brooke and their allegiance to Ridge. It's possible that Hope, who has always respected her mother's tenacity, may witness Brooke advocating for herself in a manner she has never seen before. Not to mention Deacon, who has a past with Brooke. Would Nick's homecoming rekindle old animosities there as well? Nick's return has repercussions that go well beyond Brooke and Ridge. This plotline has the potential to reshape alliances throughout the entire canvas. Fans will find Nick's comeback to be an exciting relic of one of Brooke's most captivating romances. Nick and Brooke were a fan favorite due to Jack Wagner's charm and chemistry with Catherine Kelly Lang, and their reunion is sure to provide the kind of romantic intensity and emotional depth that B&B is known for. More than that, though, Nick's appearance calls into question the show's enduring theme that Brooke and Ridge are destined to be together. Perhaps meeting someone who genuinely values you is more important than enduring heartache cycles. One thing is evident as Ridge's actions get more bizarre, Taylor's tolerance wanes, and Brooke's determination grows. Nick's return isn't only a brief interruption, rather, it's a driving force for transformation. Regardless of whether Brooke ends up picking Nick or not, his presence is making everyone reconsider their decisions. Ridge can't get out of this one by bullying others. Taylor cannot act as though being Plan B is acceptable. What about Brooke? She may be at last prepared to escape the poisonous cycle she has been trapped in for many years. I wonder if she will make the leap. Will Ridge ever bounce back from the hit to his ego if she does? The Bold and the Beautiful hits a boiling point as Ridge Forrester's meddling ruins what should have been a poignant reunion between Brooke Logan and Nick Marone. One thing is certain, though, Los Angeles won't be the same after this. When it appeared that Brooke and Nick might resume their previous romance, Ridge's outburst reveals his incapacity to cope with the thought of his ex-wife moving on, particularly with his own brother. Deeply ingrained fears, unresolved emotions, and the complex mechanics of the Forrester-Logan-Spencer dispute are all revealed by the ugly emotional consequences. The relationship between Brooke and Ridge has been a whirlwind of passion, treachery, and reconciliation for many years. Even though their relationship is strong, it has always been shaky due to infidelity, outside influences, and Ridge's own indecision. Even though he is the one who left, Ridge has consistently behaved as though Brooke is his, even after their numerous breakups. Ridge becomes instantly and violently envious when Brooke and Nick, who once had a strong bond, begin to show interest in one another. His reaction is motivated by control rather than merely defending familial devotion. Ridge is unable to disregard the damage to his ego posed by the possibility that Brooke might find happiness with another man, especially his brother. Conversely, Nick has consistently provided Brooke with stability in her life. In sharp contrast to the mayhem Brooke frequently encounters with Ridge, their relationship was based on respect for one another and emotional support. Brooke's feelings for Nick are rekindled by his homecoming, which reminds her that love didn't have to be a struggle. But everything is thrown into chaos by Ridge's meddling. He attacks Brooke, casting doubt on her allegiance and judgment, then confronts Nick, accusing him of treachery. In addition to being possessive, his actions are hypocritical considering his own tendency to move on fast, frequently with Brooke's own sister, Taylor. Between her sincere bond with Nick and her enduring affections for Ridge, Brooke finds herself trapped in the midst. Ridge's response merely serves to highlight the reasons their relationship has failed so frequently. His love is conditioned by demands, expectations, and the belief that Brooke should always be there for him. However, Brooke doesn't get caught up in the same pattern as easily this time. She recognizes Ridge's jealousy as a rejection of her happiness unless he is the one making choices. Nick, on the other hand, continues to be the voice of reason. He declines to participate in Ridge's drama but also does not allow Brooke to be influenced. The true query is, why is Ridge unable to accept Brooke's departure? Is that pride or love? The latter is implied by his past. Ridge has either destroyed Brooke's attempts to build something without him or coerced her into going back each time. He has had an equally tumultuous relationship with Taylor, but he never comes under the same scrutiny when he alternates between the two women. There is a clear double standard. Now that Nick is involved again, Ridge's hypocrisy is exposed. The thought of Brooke with someone else, especially someone he can't control or intimidate, is unbearable to him. This encounter might be Brooke's pivotal moment. She has let Ridge control her happiness for years in the hopes that things will change this time. She might eventually decide to break away, though, if she realizes his true nature, his possessiveness and his unwillingness to let her go. Nick is a hope for a more wholesome relationship free from power issues. Ridge will be solely responsible if his meddling causes Brooke to drift farther away. In the end, Ridge's behavior demonstrates that his problem isn't with Nick per such, but rather with the notion that Brooke could ever be content without him. And Brooke may decide to leave permanently if she eventually comes to that realization. Drama is nothing new to the Forrester and Logan families, but the abrupt reappearance of two important characters, Dr. Nick Marone and Bridget Forrester, pose a threat that will shake the bold and the beautiful in ways no one could have foreseen. While Nick's reappearance in Brooke's life rekindles old passions and throws Ridge into a tailspin of jealousy, Bridget's sudden return, connected to a high-stakes medical case involving Liam Spencer, adds an engrossing new layer to the canvas. Explosive confrontations, emotional reckonings, and the possibility of long-buried secrets coming to light are all promised by the collision of the past and present. Given her past interactions with Liam and the complex web of relationships that surround him, Bridget's return is especially intriguing. She is a well-respected physician who is called in to treat a medical emergency, perhaps brought on by Liam's recent unpredictable behavior or an unexplained health worry. This puts her back in the middle of a family she had previously attempted to avoid. Unresolved tensions are heightened by Bridget's mere presence, particularly in light of her complex relationship with her mother Brooke, whose love decisions have frequently left Bridget in the middle. As an experienced and successful professional, Bridget now has to strike a careful balance between her medical responsibilities and the emotional turmoil of her family's drama. The actual shocker, though? Nick Marone's concurrent comeback. According to B&B folklore, his relationship with Brooke is characterized by a strong emotional bond, stability, and a sharp contrast to the turmoil of her relationship with Ridge. The timing of Nick's return couldn't be more tense. Already doubting Brooke's fidelity, Ridge becomes furious at the thought of his ex-wife getting back together with the man who used to provide her with the happiness that Ridge so frequently ruined. Nick is unwilling to give in to Ridge's intimidation techniques, and the tension between the two men is instantaneous and electrifying. Their antagonism isn't only about Brooke, it's also about pride, control, and the underlying reality that Nick has always stood for the more wholesome, encouraging love that Brooke deserves but almost ever lets herself experience. Another intriguing aspect is added by Bridget's involvement in Liam's case. Her viewpoint may be essential in unraveling whatever disaster has befallen Liam, considering her history as a confidant and sane voice during the Spencer-Forrester-Logan conflicts. Is the psychological impact of his constant back and forth between Steffi and Hope a contributing factor in his illness, or is it solely medical? Bridget is the ideal person to address Liam's problems because of her medical knowledge and natural empathy, but her return also makes her face her own unresolved concerns over her family. When she finds out that Nick is back in Brooke's life, how will she respond? Since Nick was previously married to Bridget's mother and their split was tense with emotional repercussions, their relationship had a complicated past. Will she encourage Brooke to pursue happiness, or will she reopen old wounds? Brooke is at a crossroads since she can't decide between her daughter's return and her renewed interest in Nick. She's been caught up in Ridge's grueling cycle of indecision for years, believing that this time will be different just to be heartbroken once more. She is forced to consider whether she has been holding on to a love that is more about familiarity than fulfillment after Nick returns. Unquestionably, they have chemistry, and the ease with which they revert to their previous dynamic shows how much Brooke has been missing from her relationship with Ridge. But now that Bridget is back in town, Brooke has to think about how her decisions will impact her kids. Will Bridget find Nick's return acceptable, or will she interpret it as just another instance of Brooke putting romance ahead of the stability of the family? Naturally, the wild card in all of this is Ridge. Brooke moving on, especially with Nick, a man he has never been able to control or intimidate, is too much for his ego to bear. Ridge's typical strategies, such as accusing Brooke of being unfaithful, guilt-tripping her, or even turning back to Taylor, won't work this time. Brooke is less inclined to put up with Ridge's possessiveness, and Nick isn't hesitant to call him out on his hypocrisy. Ridge's jealousy can force Brooke into Nick's arms permanently if he isn't careful. These two returns have enormous potential consequences. Would Bridget's presence enable Liam to finally overcome his indecisive behavior? Will Brooke have the guts to leave Ridge permanently now that Nick is back? And how will Taylor respond if she discovers that Ridge might return to her out of retaliation in addition to Brooke perhaps moving on? Given the timing of Nick and Bridget's reunions, it appears that the Bold and the Beautiful is preparing for a dramatic change in relationships, one that may reshape alliances, reveal secrets, and ultimately compel characters to face long-standing patterns. The reunion of Ashley Jones, Bridget, and Jack Wagner, Nick, is a dream come true for fans, who will get to see two cherished characters who gave the series depth and emotion. While Jones' Bridget has been the voice of reason in a family that frequently thrives on disorder, Wagner's Nick has always served as a stabilizing influence in Brooke's life. Their concurrent reappearances imply that the authors are preparing a significant project, not only a brief reunion, but a plotline that might alter the canvas for some time to come. In the end, this is about legacy, family, and the unexpected reappearance of the previous ghosts, not only about Liam's health issue or Brooke's romantic life. Nick's homecoming pushes Brooke to finally put herself before Ridge's turmoil, while Bridget's reappearance makes the Forresters and Logans face their decisions. The consequences might alter everything, and the stakes have never been higher. Los Angeles won't know what hit it, that much is certain. The Bold and the Beautiful has been rocked by Jack Wagner's return as Nick Marone, which has rekindled old passions and paved the way for a significant plot point that has the potential to change relationships in Los Angeles. Not only is Nick's return a nostalgic stroll down memory lane, but it's also a game-changer, especially for Brooke Logan, whose romantic life has long been the subject of controversy. Nick's return poses a threat to the delicate equilibrium between Brooke, Ridge, and the other members of the Forrester family because of his distinctive appeal, steadfast loyalty, and strong emotional bond with Brooke. High-stakes conflicts, unresolved emotions, and the possibility of a love triangle that might equal some of the most dramatic arcs on the show are all part of his comeback. Nick Marone was the one who provided Brooke with steadiness in the middle of upheaval. He was never just another romantic interest. Nick adored Brooke unconditionally, in contrast to Ridge, whose ardor was frequently accompanied by coercion and demands. Mutual regard, friendship, and a sincere appreciation of one another's shortcomings served as the foundation for their partnership. Brooke wasn't always battling for approval or entangled in a tug-of-war between rival families when they were together. Nick stood for a new type of love, one that didn't need her to forego her happiness in order to appease someone else's pride. With his reappearance, Brooke must now decide if she has really moved on or if she has been content to continue their toxic relationship. Nick's return is an exciting relic of one of Brooke's most underappreciated relationships for devoted admirers. There was no denying his chemistry with Catherine Kelly Lang, and their early 2000s plotline produced some of the most poignant moments in B&B history. Nick provided Brooke with the consistency she sorely needed, in contrast to Ridge's frequent switching between Brooke and Taylor. His return gives the program the chance to re-examine what made them so captivating because his absence created a hole. Will Brooke eventually escape the Ridge-Taylor cycle, or will she be drawn back in by ingrained habits? Naturally, Ridge Forrester will not tolerate Nick's presence. Ridge becomes extremely enraged and territorial at the thought of Brooke and Nick being back together. His response is about losing control, not just about losing Brooke. Regardless of how many times he has harmed Brooke or favored Taylor above her, Ridge has always operated under the premise that she will eventually return to him. However, Nick's comeback casts doubt on that theory. Brooke has a genuine option for the first time in years, a man who loves her without making her constantly show her allegiance. The obvious disparities between the two men, one who wants Brooke's love and the other who only offers it, will only be brought to light by Ridge's unavoidable meddling. Nick's homecoming couldn't have come at a more dramatic time. Ridge's recent indecisiveness has caused Brooke mental distress, and Taylor's presence has made matters worse. Nick's visit gives her a chance to think clearly. Does she desire a stable, secure love or one that is all-consuming and turbulent? Nick's homecoming makes viewers, and Brooke herself, wonder if that destiny has ever really brought her happiness, even if the program has spent decades reiterating the concept that Brooke and Ridge are destined. In addition to the amorous overtones, Nick's return upends the balance of power in the Forrester household. In addition to being personal, his relationship with Brooke is entwined with loyalty, commerce, and previous rivalries. His arrival can rekindle long-standing animosities with Ridge and possibly cause drama with other important characters like Hope or Deacon. Furthermore, Nick has a strong moral code and will not tolerate Brooke being abused or manipulated. His reappearance is intended to provide Brooke with the support structure she has been lacking, not only to reignite their passion. Returning to the part of Nick Marone represents a victorious comeback for Jack Wagner, who helped establish the character. Nick was distinguished from Brooke's numerous suitors by Wagner's charisma and depth, which gave him life. Nick will surely get new depths from his performance, particularly now that relationships have changed and years have gone by. Fans may anticipate that Wagner will return to the character with ease and project the same captivating presence that initially won over fans to Nick. The key query at this point is, what will happen to Nick and Brooke next? Will they continue where they left off, or will external factors, like Bridget's complex past with Nick, Taylor's influence, or even Ridge's temper, keep them apart? Nick's reappearance is more than just a cameo, that much is certain. He is being prepared for a significant plot point in the show that has the potential to completely alter Brooke's future. One of the biggest upheavals in B&B history would occur if Brooke ultimately decides to pick Nick over Ridge. It would be a full-circle moment for a character who has been stuck in the same romantic cycle for decades. In the end, Nick's comeback is a narrative reset rather than merely a throwback. It forces Brooke to consider if she has been clinging to a love that is more habit than fulfillment. Additionally, it gives viewers an opportunity to see Brooke Logan in a relationship where she isn't always trying to fit in. His presence is already changing the show's plot, whether Nick and Brooke end up together or not, and Ridge Forrester should be quite concerned.